Hello, everybody, and welcome back.
Hello.
Documentary, January the 9th, not the 8th. Sorry about that. Please welcome everybody, Don Joe, our expert in all fields. Hi, Don.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
You're putting pressure on me on all
I
fields.
put pressure on you? No, I would never do that. Okay, you guys, we're getting into the Russel Willams interrogation. And I must admit that I do know about the case, but I don't know any specific details about that case. So Dawn is the man for tonight. And I'm going to step back and follow instructions. What Dawn is going to tell me, I will do. So enjoy this live stream. Dawn?
Thank you. Thank you. So, we will try tonight something different. We will make a parallel between the interrogation of Chris Watts and another interrogation that is considered as the best there is all over the world. That interrogation involved a sexual predator, Russel Willams, and the interrogator was a sergeant from the Ontario Police Department. Jim Smith is his name. I will put up a short presentation to familiarize you with the case. Just a second.
Yep, I share it once you put it up.
Immediately.
This is a sick guy, though. This Russel Willams. I saw crime scene pictures, like him posing in the underwear of his victims. This reminds me of Silence of the Lambs, this guy.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, he was not a cannibal, but anyway.
Yeah, no, this guy who says, "Put the lotion in the basket." You know, this guy in the dungeon or what he had and held all these women.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins.
That little dog.
So,
All right, I'm going off track. Sorry.
so is everything okay? Is visible?
I see it. Perfect.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute myself. Hi,
First of all,
Wolfgang.
I would like to ask the subscribers if they know about the case. Please share your answers. I'm not able to see the chat. Maybe Tanya will help me.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, some are saying yes. Many are saying no. That they don't know that case at all. Diamond Eyes even lives in Ontario and she does not know it. Yeah, it's 50-50.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. Thank you. Yes, but I will keep an eye on chat. I'm not very into this case. I mean, I saw parts of the interrogation and I was really, really fascinated. But details, I know overall this case, but no details.
So please pay attention to this presentation and my comments that will follow, because in the unfortunate case that you will be in an interrogation room to know what is happening, what you should do to have your rights respected, and also to understand what really means good interrogation without breaking the law or anything that would put the suspect in a unlawful condition. So this presentation I prepared about Russell Willams' case is a compilation of information from the internet, from a few Canadian journalists, and from my personal archive of interesting cases that helped me in my forensic activity. David Russell Willams, in the photo, was born March 7, 1963, in England. He had quite a comfortable childhood. Both of his parents had well-paid jobs, and they emigrated over to Canada, where Russell was 6 years old. Bear in mind that some information in this presentation will help you understand also the psychological profile of this individual. Shortly after arrival to Canada, his mother filed for divorce, claiming that her husband was having an affair with the wife of a couple they befriended. The odd thing about the divorce is that his mother quickly hooked up with the husband of the mistress. Then his stepfather and his mom went to work in South Korea, leaving him alone in Canada to continue his studies. Russell seemed to be able to adapt to different situations and was a quick learner and hard worker. He seemed to be popular and well-liked wherever he went. His school teachers and later on university professors were very impressed with him. The other students would often vote for him to be the leader of a group or a task. He just seemed to know the answers to everything and was a natural born leader. He was sociable too, and was often the life and soul of the party. He loved to play pranks on his friends and do things such as sneak into their rooms by picking the locks and hiding in their closets for long periods of time before jumping out at a random moment. That is an interesting information. Russell studied economics and political science at university, and he passed with flying colors. His friends did notice
Sorry,
that.
Don.
Sorry?
In this
Yes?
picture on the right, he looks a little bit like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was saying about his personal life, and his friends did notice that he didn't seem to have much going on in his love life. He did have a girlfriend at one point. She was an exchange student from Japan, but the relationship ended very badly before graduation, and Russell was distraught. His friends tried to avoid that subject, as Russell didn't talk much about anything personal, and he was a very private person. Not long after his graduation and that breakup, he surprised everybody by declaring that he wanted to go into the military. He was an avid watcher of the movie Top Gun that was very popular at that time. So he joined the Canadian Forces in 1987. Let's see. You see him to the right. And worked his way up the ranks and was described as a shining bright star. He even excelled as a pilot and was trusted to fly important world figures such as the Queen of England and the Prime Minister of Canada on his planes. In 1991, he got married to a devoted wife, older than him, and his friends described the couple as well-suited and soulmates. It wasn't long before he was made colonel of the Canadian Armed Forces. He had enjoyed a very successful 23-year career in the military with various awards and medals. He piloted for the Canadian Air Forces in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other war zones. So, what went wrong? Well, underneath the military uniform and friendly guy, Russell was hiding some very dark secrets.
Don, you're breaking up.
How is now? I mean, I don't...
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, from time to time, it's like a robot is speaking, but now it's fine.
I can't do anything. I'm sitting put, and but lately I saw that the wireless network has issues.
Okay, no, it's fine now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for telling me. Okay, so we're talking about his very dark secrets. Let's see, what dark secrets? He had a fetish for women's lingerie, and having that side of him that was always looking for risk and challenge, he had developed a very sick hobby of breaking into women's homes, taking their underwear and, in some cases, sex toys. Sometimes he would masturbate onto the actual drawer containing the lingerie. Sometimes he would leave messages taunting his victims. He would steal women's lingerie and take them home, where he would photograph himself in the items before carefully storing them like some sort of sick collection. Of course, he considered they were some kind of trophies. Soon enough, Russell was getting tired of just stealing the underwear and wanted to go further. He broke into a woman's house in the middle of the night, tied her up, took photographs, and sexually assaulted her. The terrified woman, whose baby was in the next room, and we're talking about 6-month-old baby, asked him, "Are you going to kill me?" To which he replied, "No need for that." Russell quickly fled the scene. Everyone around the area where the break-ins were happening were in a panic, wondering who was doing these things and who was going to be next. The police went from door to door, questioning people, and shockingly, a neighbor of Russell's was falsely looked at as a possible suspect, as the victim had mistakenly identified this man's voice as the perpetrator. For a number of weeks, this man's life was turned upside down, as people around him thought that he was this pervert running around stealing underwear and attacking women. Russell was aware that this poor man was wrongly under suspicion and didn't care as long as the heat was off of him. On the 28th of January 2010, a woman by the name of Jessica Lloyd had been reported missing. It was unusual for the beautiful and friendly 27-year-old to just vanish without being in touch with family and friends. It was so out of character for her. So people began to worry that something sinister had happened and wondered if there was any connection between Jessica's disappearance and this horrible perverted stalker who was on the loose. Here is another photo of her. Fortunately, 2 men had been driving by Jessica's house around about the time before she was reported missing and noticed the vehicle, an SUV, parked there. The men thought nothing of it at the time, but reported their sighting to the police when they later learned of Jessica's disappearance. The police didn't waste any time searching the area around Jessica's home and stopping nearby traffic for questioning and inspection. Personally, I salute the law enforcement involvement in such a haste, because sometimes you have to act very swiftly, and they did exactly that. So the vehicle that the 2 men had spotted that night had left specific tire tracks in the snow just outside of Jessica's house, and luckily Russell Willams just happened to be driving on the same road that the police were doing their investigation and pulled him over. Russell, or Russ as he preferred to be called, was driving the same vehicle that was spotted outside of Jessica's home. Here's an observation that I have to make. Usually he was driving a BMW. I don't know exactly if he was so sure about his alibis and the law enforcement not being able to catch him, because he started to use the same vehicle that he traveled with near Jessica's house. So the police stopped him, asked him a few questions before taking pictures of his tires. They let him go, and he must have thought that he'd gotten away with it until the phone rang. He was in the newly built dream home near Ottawa. You can see part of that home, yes, in the back. Okay. Here you can see Jessica's house. People put flowers on the post box. Okay. So the police was asking him to come down to the station just to answer a few more questions. The Ontario Provincial Police, or OPP, suspected Willams' involvement in the disappearance and death of Jessica Lloyd. Also suspected links to 2 other crimes that had been committed in close proximity to other locations near Willams' previous home in Tweed, Ontario. Just after the presentation, I will show you a map of the area to understand better during the interrogation what they're talking about. Russell had a personal home or a house that he didn't buy, but he had that house from the military unit where he was a commander. He stayed in that home during the week, and on weekends he went to his wife's house near Ottawa. On February 7, Willams was interrogated on video by OPP Detective Staff Sergeant Jim Smith. That is the footage that you were about to see. Over several hours, Willams gave a detailed confession of the sexual assault and murder of Lloyd, and also the sexual assault and murder of Corporal Marie-France Comeau in November 2009, and at least two other cases. The 37-year-old Corporal Comeau, let's see her. No, just a second. Here. Was someone Willams briefly met in his military life, as the victim was a military traffic technician in the same military unit where he was commander. After he murdered Marie, he returned back to his duty as normal, and he had the nerve to
John,
actually
you're breaking up again. You sound like a robot.
I don't know what to do.
No.
Now it's okay. Still? I don't have any other traffic that could.
It's like, no, say something.
Hello? How is it?
Yeah. Now it's good. Oh, is it just on my end? Could be just on my end because people are saying it's clear and fine. Okay, just ignore me. I'm going back on mute.
So Russell had the nerve to actually write a letter of condolence to her family. The subsequent investigation into Willams brought further confessions and revealed evidence of detailed notes and photographs stored at his home. The evidence showed he had broken into at least 82 houses to steal underwear of females, including children. Willams had pedophilic tendencies, stealing underwear of girls as young as 9 years old. He made 82 fetish-related home invasions and attempted break-ins between September 2007 and November 2009. Willams had progressed from break-ins to sexual assaults with no penetration to finally rape and murder. He had kept detailed track of police reports of the crimes he was committing, logged his crimes, kept photos and videos, and had even left notes and messages for his victims. In a break-in into the bedroom of a 12-year-old girl, he left a message on her computer saying merci. That is thank you in French. He had taken thousands of pictures of his crimes and had kept the photos on his computers both at home and at work. Can you imagine that? He was enjoying his murders and his crimes while he was at work in a military unit. During trial, the prosecution presented numerous pictures of Willams dressed in the various pieces of underwear and brass he was stolen, frequently masturbating while lying on the beds of his victims. I'm sorry for these details, but I want you to understand what kind of monster we're talking about. Willams pled guilty to all charges before trial, and that is something significant in comparison to Chris Watts's case. Although he pled guilty, as Chris did, that didn't stop the prosecution to show to the judge all the evidence they gathered. The presentation took several days. The state showed detailed forensic data, photos, maps, documents, and witnesses, testimonials.
Exactly. And we know, in Chris Watts's case, the judge did not even read it.
Exactly. The entire evidence presentation, if you can call it like that, was that 5 minutes presentation of Rourke in the sentencing day. Okay. These are his trophies, carefully arranged, carefully cataloged, and he knew. Yes, he knew exactly which one. He had the catalog with he knew each one to who belongs.
And he laid that all out like this in his house.
Yes, they were hidden in the basement, and also some of them in his office at work. Some people asked themselves if his wife did know about his other side. For now, nothing came up
I don't think she
to
knew.
prove that.
She's probably too embarrassed.
Anyway, meanwhile, she divorced and she does not benefit from anything from him. There was a civil case that involved the house from Ottawa. Some of the victims tried to claim some financial reparation for what happened to them, but I don't know if they succeeded. So on October 21, 2010, Willams was sentenced to 2 life sentences for first-degree murder. Sorry. 2 10-year sentences for other sexual assaults, 2 10-year sentences for forcible confinement, and 82 1-year sentences for breaking and entering. all to be served concurrently. The life sentences mean Willams will serve a minimum of 25 years before parole eligibility. The Canadian justice system is different from the American. But because he was convicted of multiple murders, Willams is not eligible for early parole. Short time after his sentencing, Willams tried to commit suicide by shoving toilet paper down his throat. The guards stopped him, and from that moment he was placed under constant surveillance. And furthermore, Willams has been subjected to an extensive psychiatric evaluation. Sadly, the conclusions are not public. I would be very interested to know what came out.
He must have had some mental issue. I mean, posing in his victim's underwear and stuff like that is seriously something wrong in his head.
I mean, I've read a study based on what was public shown about him, and there is a long list of mental illnesses that he might have. Wow. Following charges being made on February 8, 2010, Willams was relieved as the base commander at Canadian Forces Base Trenton. The Governor General revoked Willams' commission, ranks, awards, and medals, and he was expelled from the Canadian Forces for service misconduct, the most serious charge. After being returned to the forces, his uniform, documents, and military equipment were burned. His medals were cut into pieces, these actions being similar to a military degradation. Even his vehicle, a Nissan Pathfinder, was similarly crushed and scrapped. So, this is the individual that will be interrogated. At the time that Willams thought the police has nothing on him. And Tanya, if you may.
Yes.
You can start the footage.
Okay. So we prepared, I prepared the interrogation, and Dawn will give some, we're going to stop at some point and talk about the interrogation. For everybody interested in the full interrogation or interview, I will be uploading it on my channel after that stream. So if you want to see for yourself without interruptions, feel free to watch it. I'm going to share my screen.
We will not watch the footage in its entirety, but only some key moments that will show you.
That's like 3 hours long. So, okay, let me just blow that up for you. All right, let's go.
Whatever night that was Russ as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he took every number I had.
Yeah, no, they were doing some pretty thorough interviews that night.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an echo.
I'm just going to move you closer. That's a little microphone, just to make sure there's nice and clear. As you can see here, everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped.
Check.
There's a hard echo.
You've been interviewed by the police in a room like this before?
I have never been interviewed like this.
Oh, no? Okay.
No.
Let's get this set up here.
Tanya, can you hear me?
Yes.
There is a loud echo.
Oh.
Interviewed by NIS for top secret clearance.
Better now?
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. An investigation like this, and I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And
is it better now?
I can hear you well, but let the footage play.
Obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So
How
because
is
of
the
that,
chat?
we're treating
What is the
Jessica's
chat
case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're
Okay, hold on. I have nothing else open. I don't know why there is an echo. Maybe I just mute myself.
Let's try. And put it from the beginning, please.
you just have to see here, Russell.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
right.
was speaking with, whatever night that was Russ as well.
Oh, yeah.
He took every number I had.
Yeah. Now they were doing some pretty thorough interviews that night. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really glad to see it.
Can we start,
I'm
please?
just going to move closer. That's a little microphone, just to make sure there's nice and clear. As you can see here, everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped.
Check.
Tanya, can you start, please?
You ever been interviewed by the police in a room like this before?
I have never been.
Okay, a few observations from the beginning. Let's have a look at the layout of the room. As you can see, it is a very small one. For obvious reasons, the suspect has to be somehow pressured in all possible ways. One of them being the room being so small and totally uncomfortable. It's like a cell. One other thing is that you see that the room is videotape and audio taped, and that the chair Russell is sitting on is in the corner of the room. You already know that. It is the position that the suspect has to be put in, again, to put pressure on him. The law enforcement has a big advantage over any suspect in the room. First of all, the room is a foreign one for the suspect. Of course, as anyone else, the suspect is not comfortable at all. He is in the corner. The room is very small, and he knows that everything he says, it is recorded and videotaped. Furthermore, the law enforcement has another big advantage. They are allowed to lie. The suspect has not that right. Something else that I have observed is the color of the door. As you can see, the door as the floor has almost the same color, green. That is not something random. It is another method of putting pressure on the suspect, because as the floor is something that you cannot go through, the door is the continuation of the floor, and that gives the suspect another sensation of being already incarcerated. Even if Jim Smith will read his Miranda rights, telling him that he is able to go anytime he wants, that is just a lie. That was the last time when Russell was free. He will not get out of that room as a free man.
Right, exactly the same with Chris. He was sitting right at the door.
Initially, in the first interrogation, yes, but
Yeah.
On Wednesday, he sat on a different position. I mean, the same chair that he sat on during the polygraph. I think that Coder and Tammy Lee were so sure they will crack him that they forgot to put him in the corner.
Right.
Many people asked me about if it is okay if he was staying there. No, it was not okay.
And also a different thing I noticed, we see him like reading his Miranda rights, telling him you're free to go at any time. We don't see that in the Watts case. We get presented a document of his Miranda rights that he signed, but we don't see them actually explaining to him what is going to happen on tape, right?
True.
So that makes me wonder why. Why is that not on tape, and what did they tell him? That's a big difference to me to compared to this interrogation.
Yes, making again a parallel with Chris Watts' interrogation, you can see that, I mean, on this footage, it is not that obvious that the quality of the image is much better than Chris Watts' case, but at
Yeah,
least...
and he's sitting right facing the camera.
Yeah.
That too. And Tammy Lee also said, they never said well, they did say you're free to go, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, when Chris said, can I not just go home and continue that tomorrow? She says, no, we're doing this now.
Yes. So the room is perfectly insulated from the acoustic point of view, as opposed to what happened in Frederick Police Station. That is a disgrace. I don't know if it's like the walls are made of cardboard. Maybe they lacked funds, or they didn't have enough budget, because the interrogation rooms have to be perfectly sealed from the acoustic point of view. And something else, the recording equipment is working flawlessly. If you remember, there are many other interrogations, like Ronnie's interrogation, where part of his interrogation is dark. It's black. And from the Discovery archive, we know there is a technician that has his main role is to verify if the surveillance cameras, the recording cameras, are working perfectly. There are some tests on the Discovery made by that technician. Apparently, the cameras were doing well, but during the interrogation, sometimes they don't. I'm wondering if that was intentionally done or not. Anyways, the biggest advantage of Jim Smith in this case is the big folder that he is carrying with him. As you know, in Watt's case, both Tammy and Codor had nothing. They had only blank papers. That folder is the work of many people involved in the law enforcement area. And I have to say that I am the one of those that prepares such folders, be them photographs, audio, video, or any other things that they want me to look at. Without such evidence, an interrogation is just a joke, because what can you do? Just beg the suspect to tell the truth? No, you have to have some ammunition against him to make him confess. And we will see that during the interrogation, Jim will very often look into the folder, and at certain times he will put on the table critical pieces of evidence that finally will crack Russell. I think I covered it all for now. Oh, one other thing. When he entered the room, Jim called him by his first name, Russ. That is an intentional thing because it would be a mistake to call him Colonel Russell Willams. No. He has to feel like he is belittled in that room. He is not the colonel. He's just a suspect. He has to sit in the corner on a chair that is uncomfortable. If you see the chair is fixed, it is a mistake to have a chair that has the possibility to swivel. That would be too comfortable, and the chair has no elbow rest. It is, I think, the most simple chair there is, and that is what should be. Okay, I think we can go on.
Oh, no? Okay.
No.
Let's get this set up here.
I guess the closest to interview by NIS for top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, again, Russell, I appreciate you coming in. An investigation like this, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate it's been big news, especially down Belleville way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Sure.
So again, I appreciate it.
Okay.
We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today. Okay. The reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again and again. Okay.
Okay, something important happened. I want you to look at the body language of Russell, of Willams. He is sitting straight. His voice is normal. The only thing that suggests his anxiety is that he's chewing gum quite quickly.
What did that too?
Yeah. The hands are in his lap. Nothing suggests so far that he is too uncomfortable, but please watch his body language as the interrogation progresses. Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you. Okay. I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you. So
No, I appreciate that.
all right, go ahead.
I could definitely, are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar.
Definitely. I just started my phone, probably have it a little bit.
Sorry, your what? Sorry.
Gum. Just
Oh,
first
okay.
piece of gum.
Well, there's napkins there if you want to toss it or whatever.
I appreciate that.
All right. And again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough. But again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I don't want to ask if they do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are. Okay. Just like everybody else. Okay.
Please stop.
Have you ever read your rights before?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version. So I'll go over with you briefly. Okay. Basically, in Canada, as you know, I'm sure, is we all have our rights guaranteed under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Okay, so Jim, is there anything better than when done?
Thank you so much, Kate.
Yes, I really appreciate it, Kate. And your sense of humor. Okay, so Sergeant Jim Smith told him that he has a main role, and that is to treat people with respect, and he is expecting the same in return. That is a technique used for people that have a sense of honor, for military. Being a honorable man means a lot to Russell because he is a military. For other people, it doesn't work at all. But by putting on the table this first rule of interrogation, he has already committed Russell to be honorable and say the truth. I mean, that is just one piece of the puzzle, but he wanted to tell him what he is expecting from him. He was also giving him coffee. That is not because he is a very polite host, but he's trying to gain his confidence and trust. Let's not forget that he is having in the room a sexual predator that you wouldn't think, but just by looking at him, that he is capable of such horrible things. So I would like to debunk that legend saying that if you look at one person, you would know just by the way he is looking, he's a murderer. Like, I don't know, he has the jaws very wide, the look in his eyes is crazy, and so on. No, there is no such rule. If you would meet this person, Russell, let's say on the street or in a park, or in his position as a commander officer of a very important military base in Canada, you couldn't say that he's a sexual predator. And maybe we'll discuss at the end about how can we discover earlier as possible, as early as possible, if somebody is having such behavior. Tanya, the footage disappeared.
Hold on a second, I pushed the wrong button. Should be back now?
Yes.
Good. Do you want me to continue?
Yes, but I don't know if you can hear me when I say to stop.
You just have to talk a little bit louder or scream at me.
Okay. Okay, let's go on.
Freedoms. Okay. Now, Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that you're obviously not under arrest here today. Okay. Yep. Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want. Okay. If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you feel you want to talk to a lawyer about, you just let me know. Okay. Sure. And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here. Okay. Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating. Okay. Right. And essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009.
Yeah.
And very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area.
Yeah.
They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts.
Yeah.
Okay. In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Como was found murdered in her home in Brighton.
Yeah.
And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well.
Yeah.
And then most recently, we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay. So essentially, when you look at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges. All right. We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement. Okay. And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses, okay, whether it's you or whether it's anybody else, all right?
Absolutely.
And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us, okay? So as I said before, any point today you feel the need, you want to speak to a lawyer?
As you can see, Jim Smith is putting another layer of pressure on Russell. He has enumerated all possible felonies that can be put on him, and he's also telling him that he was invited on a Sunday because people in the military unit would not know. That is a false sense of security for him. He wasn't invited on Sunday just for his privacy. No, they wanted to be sure they catch him in that day. So right now, Russell is nodding to everything Jim Smith says. Normal people that wouldn't be involved in such horrific crimes would not be so compliant just by listening that list of crimes. He would say, "What do you want from me?" He would rebel. He would lean forward towards the interrogator just to say that he doesn't accept this treatment. But as you can see, Russell is very compliant. He's apparently very quiet. Something else, if you look in the top right image footage, we can see that there is about 1.5 meters between him and Russell. And usually when an interrogation is starting, the interrogator there is a distance between him and the suspect because they don't want to break in his personal space and to feel him, to make him feel too pressured. The first phase is to gain his trust in order to start talking. But by during the interrogation, Jim Smith will come closer and closer to Russell. And at one time, he will mimic his gestures. If Russell will put his hand to his jaw, he will do the same. And from time to time, he will stop talking because sometimes just not talking is a very efficient method of pressure. Just by asking questions like a machine gun is not a good technique. You have to let the suspect take in all the questions, all the repercussions, so that he will adjust his behavior and start talking, or if he's smart enough, call his lawyer. But as we can see, he was asked about if he needs a lawyer. As a narcissist that he is, he doesn't want. Yes, call me Russ. Yes. Okay, let's go on.
You let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have your own lawyer?
I have a realty lawyer, but
Okay.
no, I don't have a lawyer.
All right. If at any point you want to make that call and you don't know who to call, we have a phone list of lawyers that are available to give you advice free of charge right over the phone. Okay. So again, if at any point today you want to take advantage of that, you just let me know.
Sure.
Is there any reason you want to call a lawyer now?
Nope.
Okay. A couple other fairly simple and straightforward things that you probably understand, but again, we go over them to make sure everybody's clear, is that you don't have to speak to me today. Okay. And the reason for that is because the law considers me to be what we refer to as a person of authority. Okay. Probably similar to what you may be considered to be on the base.
Yeah.
And because of that, I can be compelled to appear before any judge in the country, basically, to account for what takes place here today between you and I. Okay. And that's the reason why everything's recorded, because there can't be any more accurate record than that, right? So.
No, understood.
And the other thing I want to make sure you understand is that, you mentioned a second ago about Ms. Como being one of your work associates. So I don't know what's happened since November on the military side of things. But what we want to make people clear on is that if you have been spoken to by any person in authority or any police officer about any of those cases, I don't want what they may have said to you to make you feel influenced or compelled to say anything to me today, okay? Whatever you might have felt influenced or compelled to say to them earlier, you don't have to repeat it to me, and you don't have to say anything further, okay? But obviously what you do say, for the third time is being recorded, right? So.
Understood. These first two attacks happened not that far from my place in Tweed. Well, the second one did.
Yeah.
We didn't even know the first one had happened, but I understand that was reasonably close as well. But the second one was very close.
Yeah.
So certainly at the time, the OPP did a door-to-door.
Yeah.
And within a couple of days, probably the same night. So I spoke with a couple of guys then.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases. And essentially, Russell, in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay. Those 4 cases are of concern to us. And, you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russel Williams, okay? Because essentially, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
or I drive past, yes, I would have to say there's a connection.
Yeah,
Please
and that's
start
why I'll be quite frank with
This is the first bomb dropped by Jim Smith. There is a connection between you and all those crimes. Think about it. Let's pretend that you are innocent and somebody is telling you such horrendous thing. What would you do? Of course, you would be very alarmed, very angry, and you would react. We can see that Russell is still nodding. He bought that lie. He bought that accusation. And he's just nodding along as if nothing has happened. He still doesn't understand that he is trapped. And all he has to do is, he's hoping that there is not too much damaging evidence against him. when people said about Chris Watts that he's a narcissist, a psychopath, and so on, let's look at Russell Willams. This is a narcissist. This is a psychopath. It is a major difference. And you'll understand better as the interrogation goes along.
Just
So,
1 second, Dawn. Just
yes,
1
please.
second. Melina, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm happy you're being here, and I hope you will heal. I'm very, very sorry for your loss. I don't even know what to say. I'm very sorry.
You have us, Melina, and you have your music.
Oh, yes, definitely. Melina is a great artist. She did so much. She even sang a song for me. If somebody of the moderators, please put her link to her channel in chat. So follow Melina. She's really great.
Stay out of the dark, Melina. Okay, we can go on.
With you. That's why things kind of evolved when the officers talked to you on Thursday night.
Okay.
We kind of went from there because when I think you discussed with them the fact that you were a colonel at the base.
I was in uniform at the time. So.
Yeah, so pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, then the connection with Miss Como was made. And I believe you're a door or two down from one of those two incidents
I think,
in Tweed.
3 doors down, yeah.
Yeah.
Very close, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the issues we wanted to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So just getting back to these 4 incidents that we're talking about, maybe you could just give me a little bit of history as to your arrival in the base in Trenton. When did you start working there?
Friday on the day, I was Friday on the day I was at home most of the time. Most of the day I had a sort of a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed?
Tweed.
In Tweed? Okay.
Yeah.
So we backtrack then. So all day Friday, you're at home.
Yeah.
And then what time do you leave to go to the base to sleep there on the Friday night?
Not sure. Probably just, went in for just before bed. So I probably left Tweed at between 8 and 9 or so.
Okay. And you get to the base and spend the evening there and get up for the 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So we backtrack from there. When did you arrive at your home at the cottage? I don't want to get confused between your home in Ottawa and the home in Tweed. So,
no, I had been in Tweed all week.
Yeah.
The week prior now. Yeah, I think that's the case. I was in Tweed all week. Flew Saturday. Headed to Ottawa Saturday night.
Okay. So if you didn't have the stomach flu on the Friday, what was your schedule that day?
8, really.
Okay.
What would have been my schedule? Just a standard schedule in the office.
Okay.
So office brief in the morning, a couple of meetings.
Please stop.
What specifics we're going to be.
Okay. So Thursday night.
The first
And if
lie.
you would just excuse me for 1 second, I'll be right back.
Sure. The first blatant lie of Russell Willams. He didn't have a stomach flu on Friday. On Thursday night, he broke in Jessica Lloyd's house using a window in the basement. By the way, that is his preferred method. to break in through the windows in the basement. So now we understand why people in Colorado usually have a security system that involves motion sensors in the basement. So he broke in and he subdued Jessica. He tortured her. He sexually assaulted her for hours and hours, photographed her, recorded on video everything he did to her. Then in the morning of Friday, when, as he said, he had a stomach flu, he forced her to go with him at his cottage in Tweed. Once he got there, he continued to rape her. He promised that he will set her free if she is compliant. All that time she had zip ties around her neck because he performed oral sex on her, and he said that he will strangle her if he is trying anything funny. During that time, Jessica had a seizure. He started trembling. He had like an epilepsy event. That was awful. I mean, I can't imagine the what was in her mind, because you understand what I mean. And instead of setting her free, he knocked her on the head with a flashlight and wrapped her in a bedsheet and let her in his cottage and went to work. He will come back 3 or 4 days later to take her body and throw it in some woods 3 or 4 kilometers away. So this is his stomach flu lie. He's still talking loud. He's still thinking that he will get away with it, although he hasn't any alibi, and Jim Smith knows that. Now, Jim is thinking, what is the best strategy to make him confess? Should I put more pressure on him? And yes, he will do that. We will see immediately what he will say about the entire investigation that is taking place and the resources they have and so on. And let's not forget that very important folder that sits behind Jim. In there, you can see it is it's quite a very thick folder. In there, it is very powerful evidence for making him confess. And but for now, it is like a chess game. Russell wants to know how much the police knows, and Jim Smith knows exactly that he will win. The worst scenario would be that Russell will ask for a lawyer. Not that a lawyer could save him, but would hinder the investigation by lengthening it. And you know the drill. That is happening usually in the United States, where the lawyers are a very powerful force, sadly. Tanya, are you there? Okay, let's go.
You slept at Tweed, or you?
Yep.
All right. And what did you do Thursday during the day?
Thursday during the day, I was at the base again. I think it was a fairly standard day. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, no, I was not flying, so I was at the base. So I would have gone in early in the morning, back in the evening again.
Okay. Do you remember what time you left the base that night?
I don't remember anything peculiar, so I would say, I don't know, probably 7 to 9, somewhere in that range.
Okay. That's when you left?
Left the base, yeah.
It's
a 45-minute transit. So.
45 minutes home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to walk you through November, but I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind, the day that Marie-France coma.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you found out?
I do. Yeah, I was sent an email. Well, as soon as the ops staff and the base learned, they told me.
Okay.
So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night, early in the morning. It was certainly, I saw it, I want to say first thing in the morning, because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously when your people gets killed, it gets your attention. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I very much remember that coming in.
And how did you know Marie-France coma?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay.
So I can't even remember. I think it was a one-day trip. I did a number of trips in Canada, transporting our troops, sort of first leg out of Edmonton. We tend to hopscotch them across until they get into theater. So anyway, I can't remember which trip it was, but we did a number of them out to Edmonton just to pick up the troops, bring them to Trenton, and then put a fresh crew on, and because we'd fly out and back in the same day, so pushing the edge of that. Fresh crew on, and then continue on after a couple hour delay.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
Though we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
The connection. Do you hear me, Tanya?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Oh, it's buffering. Okay. I think
I'm
I thought
trying to
that
fix
is
it.
on my side. No,
No,
let
it's
it.
for me too.
Yeah,
Hold on a sec.
no problem. As you can see, the hands of Russell are starting to go up to his chest, little by little. It is a shame that we can't see his eyes, because that would show us some other things that a law enforcement officer is very attentive at. But for now, Russell is struggling to stay in control. And one other thing, Jim Smith is forcing him to be as accurate as possible. Not that he would be very interested in timing, but by insisting on accuracy, that is another method to pressure him in saying the truth and to be very detailed. Okay, let's go on.
Pushing the edge of that. And, fresh crew on, and then continue on after a couple hour delay.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
Though we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you got that email notifying you that something had happened.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a clear recollection as to how your schedule was going that week?
Well, I can't remember what day that the message came in. Just a second. No, I can't remember what day of the week, but I'm just thinking there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result, obviously. No, I can't remember the day of the week. I'm just trying to think through the news reports I read. No, I'm sorry, I can't remember what day that was, but what we learned after the fact was that the MPs had learned of her death, I think quite a bit after her body had been discovered.
Okay.
So I think what happened, sorry, just a second. Okay. So I think, if I remember correctly, the MPs learned late that evening. Can't remember when, obviously, her body was discovered. It was probably in the news reports. But so they learned, and then they passed it to ops so they immediately passed it to me.
Okay.
The MPs work for the wing operations officer, so they go through their chain of command, and then as soon as the duty launch officer had that information, she advised me.
Okay. So again, that
along
particular
with
week,
some others.
Right. I'm sure it spread like wildfire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that particular week, do you have any recollection? Well, for instance, when you got the email,
Yeah.
do you remember where you were?
I was at home in Tweed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember if that was a week that you were reasonably stable in Trenton, or had you flown?
No, I had been in Ottawa. Earlier in the week.
Please stop.
For some meetings over in Gatineau for one of the it's actually for the
Tanya, please
C-17
stop.
acquisition. I was project director and I was here in Ottawa for that. So
What can you see? Russell is assuming the position with his arms crossed around his chest. He started to be anxious. He doesn't know where the discussion will go further. And as I told you earlier, you saw Jim Smith being silent. He didn't try to help him at all. He let him struggle to look for answers. And he did that brilliantly. And from now on, the level of anxiety on Russell is starting to climb a lot. By looking as a comparison, let's look at Jim Smith's demeanor. He's very relaxed, and Russell, if you look in the image up in top right, he's starting to take the fetal position. That is something that people do without thinking. You see him being there are two possibilities when somebody is crossing his arms around his chest. One could be he's anxious, and the other, it is a very comfortable position sometimes. But we're not at the seaside, we're in an interrogation room. So Jim Smith is starting to win just by giving him, how to put it, he's giving him enough rope to hang himself. He's letting him speak. He's letting him thinking if it's right to confess or if not. And something very important that I forgot to mention, you'll see that Jim Smith is starting a question, but it is not ending it. That is not because he is not focused on that question. No, he's trying to surprise Russell because right now Russell, his mind is racing. He's trying to be 2 steps ahead, but by interrupting his question, he is putting Russell in a difficult position. He doesn't know what to answer. What is the question? Are there many questions? He is overwhelmed. So that is what I want to take in, is that Jim Smith knows exactly what he's doing. He's not stuttering or has too many questions to ask. No, he's doing it to derail him, to confuse him. Okay, Tanya, please.
Just some follow-up stuff for that.
Okay.
So I had been here at some point in that week. Again, I can't remember how the days all fell together, but I seem to remember that I got this word shortly after having come back from Ottawa. It seems to me it was the same week.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
Absolutely
did this?
No.
Okay.
It'll be very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is it? You seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off
Absolutely.
some alarm bells in
There's
our investigation, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing we need to cover off is, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Please
I
stop.
think that's what we're
Please
going
stop,
to ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. Now we have a process we have to go through to do that.
Okay.
And for the blood sample,
Tanya, please stop.
take the blood sample. We have specially trained officers that are trained to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to step.
This is a crucial moment because aside the fact that the face of Russell Williams is becoming red and shiny, this is another bomb coming from Jim Smith. So he's asking Russell of what he's willing to give the law enforcement to render him innocent. And everything that he mentions, it's not something random. DNA, fingerprints, and shoe prints. Why shoe prints? Because, as we know, his car, the impressions of the tires of his car were found near Jessica Lloyd's house, and also footsteps and the impressions of the boots. By the way, they are the same boots that Russell is wearing, and if you look closely, he looked down to his shoes, to his boots, when Jim Smith was asking about boot impressions. He still doesn't know that he is about to be caught, but what will come will be brilliant. Okay, Tanya.
Also,
please.
what I noted
Yes.
in the Chris Watts interrogation, Coda does the same thing. He says, if we go into your house and, search it in its entirety and stuff like that, would you be willing to give us consent? And Chris says, yeah, okay. Because he knew they would not find anything in the house.
Yes, they are also trying to establish a reference line. For
Yes.
instance, so he's telling
But
Russell
he,
in
on the
this.
other hand, Williams, he's getting real nervous. And Watts was not nervous, in my opinion, as far as
No.
we could see.
Yes, he's not Chris. He's the Rain Man. He has almost no feelings, or at least he learned to cover any kind of feelings, because in his mind, having emotions, it is a weakness. Not only because he can't express them, but he learned from his personal life that each time when he tried to open, something bad came out. But in this case, he has the same boots on, and just realized that yeah, I think he said to himself, how stupid I am. But anyway, the line of reference that I talked about is that Jim Smith is telling him, okay, so you were here, you did that, and that is the truth. Let's see if what will come will be the same, or you will have to change your deposition. Okay, please go on.
Step out and make sure they're still available.
Can I assume you're going to be discreet?
It's possible. Yeah.
Because this would have a very significant impact on the base if they thought you thought I did this.
Well, bottom line, Russell, that's one of the reasons we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
The military certainly be of great assistance to us, especially in relation to Miss Como's investigation. So that's certainly one of the things that went into our decision to give you a call at home today and see if we could deal with this today.
Okay.
So, okay.
Because it's tough to undo the rumor mill once it gets started. But I appreciate that.
Okay. Now that you've had some time to, I know we've been throwing a lot of things at you here, but now you've had some time to think about things. Is there anything that you're concerned about that buccal swab matching in any of those 4 residences? Is there, I guess, let me explain what I'm getting at here, Russell, okay? This is a significant investigation, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
That DNA is going to be significant in our investigation, both quite possibly to help you, quite possibly to help us.
Understood.
I don't know yet. I don't know what the result is yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to the example I gave you because it's a very similar issue, I think. And you talked about the idea of discretion here. Okay. Mm-hmm. You talked about the idea that I think hopefully you appreciate the fact of how we approached you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And essentially, we have no issues with that. Okay. We talked recently about the whole idea of any unusual sex acts in your history. Mm-hmm. But another thing that can often happen in cases like this is that people become concerned about things like extramarital affairs, mm-hmm. Indiscretions along those lines. Mm-hmm. Is there any contact that you may have had with any of those 4 women that you may not want your wife to be aware of? Anything like that we should know about to try and explain why, if your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences? Let's focus on, well, for instance, I believe, let me just check the name there, make sure I got the right address. I'm talking about the house that was just a couple of doors down from you there in Tweed.
A couple of doors down was Lori. I don't know her last name, but I don't know.
Mazzacati?
I don't even know what her last name is. But
Tanya, please stop.
There's the woman down
what we saw earlier was the equivalent of Chicks Are Crazy that Tammy Lee did. Jim Smith tried to throw a bait by telling Russell that maybe he found a mistress and for reasons of infidelity, he's trying to hide something. Like I said, he is giving him enough rope to hang himself, but Russell didn't bite like Chris did, so he's staying tough, but that will go against him, and we'll see it very soon. Okay, please, Tanya.
The road 3 doors down.
Yeah.
Her name is Lori. I don't know her last name.
All right, let me just make sure we're on the same page here. My understanding is she lived at 76 Cozy Cove. Yeah, so she would be the one, the second one, the second incident on your road there.
Yeah.
A couple of doors down. Ever been in her house?
Please stop.
No. We met her once.
What you just saw is a question surprise. In the middle of a sentence, he is asking a direct question. Were you in that house? Usually, somebody who is innocent is answering right away. Russell has to think about it. That is a major red flag. If you can repeat that portion, please, Tanya.
We were there, so in 04.
Okay, and that's what I'm getting at. If your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there.
Absolutely not.
Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences? Let's focus on, well, for instance, I believe, let me just check the name there, make sure I've got the right address. I'm talking about the house that was just a couple of doors down from you there in Tweed.
A couple of doors down was
the,
Lori. I don't know her last name. I don't know.
Mazzacati?
I don't even know what her last name is, but there's the woman down the road 3 doors down.
Yeah.
Her name is Lori. I don't know her last name.
All right, let me just make sure we're on the same page here. My understanding is she lived at 76 Cozy Cove. Yeah, so she would be the one, the second one, the second incident on your road there.
Yeah.
A couple of doors down. Ever been in her house?
No. We met her once, I think the first summer we were there, so in 04.
Okay, and that's what I'm getting at. Again, this is a credibility issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come and see you 2 weeks from now and say, Russ,
Yeah.
our CSI people were in that house. And are you familiar with how DNA works?
I think broadly, yes. I would
Okay.
guess so.
One of the challenges we have in 2010 with DNA is it's become so precise that I guess the best way to explain it is I can think back to 15 years ago when I started in violent crime investigation.
Yeah.
For us to get a DNA match, the sample we had to find was, probably would have filled half of one of these cups.
Does it?
Because they destroy so much of the sample in the testing.
Okay.
Essentially, DNA has become more and more precise to the point where when you and I walked in this room earlier today, we could have sat down, talked for 30 seconds, walked out. CSI officer could have come in 3-4 days from now, done some swabs here, and he would have found your DNA and my DNA, and probably a lot of other people's DNA.
Sure.
A little bit gross to think about, but essentially, as we talk, a little bit aspirate comes out of our mouth.
Yeah. No,
That contains our DNA, our bloods, or our skin cells contain our DNA,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm getting at. If you were ever in Lori's residence, quite possibly, quite innocently, your DNA could be in that residence. Has there ever been a time you've been in there?
No.
Okay. What about the other lady down the road on?
I hadn't even heard that name, so no, I don't actually know who that was.
Okay. Have you ever visited Marie France Como at her residence?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're quite positive there would be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those
Absolutely.
3 locations. Okay. Did you know Jessica Lloyd even in passing for any reason?
No, I didn't hear her name till it was on the news.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking that is because I know you were asked that question on Thursday night, and sometimes what we find, and again, this is one of those situations that can sometimes cause us to get in a lengthy investigation as somebody that maybe doesn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
But what can happen sometimes is somebody gets stopped by the police like you did, and they get asked that question, and people when they're stopped by the police, they can be nervous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they blurt out an answer, and then they start driving away, and they go, oh, why did I do that? Because the problem is that once they get asked again, then they feel compelled to maintain that answer for fear that if they change their answer, somebody could find it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. So I want to make sure that's not happening here. I don't care what you said to the officers on Thursday night last week. If there's any communication or contact between you and Jessica Lloyd, you've seen her picture, right, around town?
Yeah.
Okay. Ever seen her before?
I don't. No, I would say I have not.
Okay. All right. All right. And you mentioned something about doing some renovations at your property in Tweed there. I think you said something earlier about tearing up carpet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Oh yeah.
okay. When did all that happen?
In 2004 or 5.
Okay. Any recent renovations?
No.
Okay. All right.
As you can see, he's not smiling anymore.
What kind of tires do you have on your Pathfinder?
I think they're Toyo.
Okay. Do you know the brand name or sorry
I
the
think that
make?
is I don't. Sorry, the make is Toyo.
Yeah.
I don't know the model.
Okay. I'll read this off to you, see if it rings a bell. Ever heard of, does Toyo Open Country HTS
Yeah, it sounds
make any
right.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you have those tires put on your Pathfinder?
Well, it's the second version we've had of them, so I think it might have been this past fall. They replaced other ones we'd had on the same.
Okay.
Well, Toyo, I can't say that they were exactly the same model, but our dealership here in Ottawa says they're very popular for the Pathfinders.
Okay.
And they were good. They lasted a long time.
All right. I've had to, I think you were talking about the whole idea of the MPs helping us with our investigation, stuff like this. You have the same system as we do at our headquarters with the swipe cards.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things one of our investigators did is they made a call while I was talking to you there because we were trying to work through that week of the 23rd of November.
Okay.
23rd being the Monday, 24th being the Tuesday.
Okay.
What they've told us is that, and I want to make sure I get this right, is that on the 23rd, your swipe card was being used at the base. Okay.
Okay.
On Tuesday, 24th, there was no use of your swipe card.
Okay.
And then on the following days, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there was what appeared to be average activity of your swipe card in the base. Does that make sense to you?
It does. That says that I was in Ottawa on the Tuesday.
Okay. Do you remember where in Ottawa you were?
Yeah, I was in Gatineau with, as I said, meeting about the C-17.
Okay. Now, again, I want to be fair to you here. We're going back 2 months.
Yeah.
Are you sure that would have been the day you were in Ottawa?
Well, only because I wasn't at the base.
Okay.
So I can't remember, honestly, that's the day I had the meeting in Ottawa. But if I wasn't at the base, it was because I was here.
Okay. Now, if that is the
Can I just say something real quick?
Please.
I think he is sweating buckets because the Jim is always looking into his folder, like with the tire tracks, and
Yes.
he he knows exactly that they found those tire tracks on the crime scene, and
You caught
him looking obviously in his folder and then asking a question. This is very good.
exactly. You
But
caught it
you see him
perfectly.
like cracking. You can actually see him cracking.
Yes, that is the power of a folder. I mean, sometimes law enforcement officers are intentionally putting a lot of blank papers or whatever, just for the suspect to think that they have a lot of information about him. But that is not the case in Russell's case. But Russell is becoming to be, he's starting to be angry, and his confidence is dropping, because each time Smith is looking inside that folder, something bad is coming for him. And
Oh, yeah.
that is a tremendous pressure on him. In comparison,
Thank you.
in comparison with what? That was a joke. That I was so angry when people started to scold me about Tammy Lee, how good she was, and called her the wise man was this and that. What are we talking about?
Absolutely not.
We're talking about Chris Watts, that is a very quiet person. He has no almost he has not a vast experience of life. He avoids confrontations. He is a follower, and it was very easy to tell him, to make him say what they want. In comparison, this is a monster, a predator, somebody that used
Total
to tie
narcissist.
up a psychopath. Who is interested, I will show him or her a study about the possible diagnosis on Russell. But anyway, he in his mind, right now it is a struggle between maybe saying the truth or running out the door.
Yeah,
He
I
can do
think
that.
he knows he's done in a
Yes.
minute.
He's hoping that the result of the boot impressions or DNA and fingerprints and so on will not match. As you saw, the footage has a short gap. That was the moment when people when technicians took swabs, DNA swabs, and foot impressions and so on. And the crucial evidence will follow very soon.
Okay, I continue.
Sure, please.
The day you had the meeting in Ottawa, do you remember being at the base on the Monday, the 23rd, and swiping your card in and out? Do you remember what you would have done that evening to get to Ottawa for that meeting? Like, would it be?
I drove to Ottawa in the morning of the day of my meeting. So if it was the Tuesday, then I would have left Tweed. It was a very foggy morning.
Okay.
That morning, I drove in that morning.
Okay.
So I would not have been at the base the day I was in Ottawa, because the meeting started at 8:30 or something.
Okay, so you leave the base, you would have went home to your residence in Tweed.
Yep.
And then you left Tweed in the morning and drove up to your meeting in Ottawa.
Yep.
Okay. You leave the meeting in Ottawa is a daytime meeting, evening meeting, or do you remember?
Yeah, it was a daytime meeting, finished, I don't know, mid-afternoon or so.
Okay.
We had lunch and then finished. I think my wife and I had dinner because she was here for work, and then I headed back.
Okay. Well, these are the kind of things I'm trying to draw out here. That's helpful to us. Do you remember where you had dinner?
Well, I don't remember exactly the restaurant, but it was in Westboro because that's where our house was being built at the time. So we had dinner, in a restaurant that we would expect to be able to frequent once the house was finished.
Okay. Remember how you paid?
One of us would have paid by MasterCard. I think.
Okay. Are you sure about that, or?
Pretty sure that's normally how we pay for meals.
All right.
Can't remember if it was me or my wife that paid, but one of us.
Okay. And do you remember which restaurant it was again?
No.
Okay. All right. And you see what I'm getting at, right? I mean, that can be very helpful for us because if we can track that issue, right? We can put somebody paying for a meal at a location.
Oh, I was meeting with 15 people or so that day. So
okay. What time did the meeting end?
I would say between 3 and 4.
Okay. And are you sure that that's the same day you went out with your wife?
Well, I think so. Yeah, because she was here, and I think that was the day we went to this restaurant in Westboro. Yes.
Okay.
Please stop.
You finished dinner,
Tanya,
and
please
do
stop.
you remember what you did that evening?
I would have driven back.
Did you see how he smiles? That is the smile of a narcissist. Each time when he has an answer to something, or when he thinks that Jim Smith is losing his grip on him, he started to become cocky. He thinks how smart I am, and this loser is doing chit chat with me, although I have an alibi with 15 people. Of course, Jim Smith is not doing that because he's stupid, but he is applying another interrogation technique. He is alternating pressure with some moment of relax, because if you push all the time, you are losing the effect. You have to bring down the pressure and then surprise him again with another blow. And right now he's just chit-chatting with him about some uninteresting facts. All that is done to bring Russell's guard low. He knows what he's doing, and he does it brilliantly. Okay, please go on.
If that was Tommy Lee, she would lose it and say, "You're not crying. Why are you not crying?"
Exactly. You're good.
To tweet.
Okay. And you would have, now, again, I know we're talking 2 months ago here, but do you remember specifically having dinner and then driving back? Do you remember, are you just guessing here?
No, I'm not really guessing. I mean, I believe that this night at this restaurant was following the meetings in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I, kissed my wife goodbye and headed back to Tweed to go to work the next day.
Okay. All right. The tires that you have on your truck, right? The reason I asked you about that is there any time, I mean, you recall where you were stopped by the officers there?
Yes.
Okay. Did they explain to you what the significance of
that was her house.
That was her house.
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember that location?
Yep.
Do you remember what the crossroad was, or?
I don't think there's a crossroad. It's sort of just on the south end of 37.
Okay. When you get stopped at that location, has there been a time in the recent 1 or 2 weeks that your vehicle has left that road for any reason whatsoever? Have you driven into a field with your vehicle at all? For any reason you can think of?
No.
Okay. Because I want you to rack your brain here. This is important. So is there anything you can remember doing that, would have caused you to drive off the road at that section of roadway?
No, that's my early, that's the early part of the highway, and just head north. It's about 30 minutes from there to, probably 20 from there to my house.
Okay. would it surprise you to know that when the CSI officers were looking around her property, that they identified a set of tire tracks to the north of her property? Looks as if the vehicle left the road and drove along the north tree line of Jessica Lloyd's property. Okay. They took, they examined those tire tracks, and they have contacts in the tire business. Obviously, tire tracks are a major source of evidence for us.
Sure.
Shortly after this investigation started, they identified those tires as the same tires on your Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. One of the other things that they do to try and identify the type of vehicle that may have left those tires, well, is they do two things. They talk to witnesses. Okay. There was a female police officer that actually drove by that location that evening and recalls seeing an SUV type vehicle in the field up to the north of Jessica Lloyd's house, consistent with a Pathfinder. Okay. Could maybe consistent with other things, but consistent with a Pathfinder. And they, what they also do to try and identify the type of the vehicle is they look at what they call the wheelbase width. Okay, because different vehicles, different makes, models have wheelbase width. So they can take those two sets of tire tracks, measure the distance between them. Okay, and determine what the width is.
Sure.
And then they can enter that into a vehicle database, and it will spit out the types of vehicles. Okay, your Pathfinder's wheelbase width is very, very close to the width of the tires that were left in that field. Okay. Do you have any recollection at all of being off that road?
No, it's not off the road. No.
Okay. All right. Russell, is there anything you can think of? Let's go talk about Marie-France Como for a minute, okay? Is there any reason at all you can think of that during our investigation, obviously we're searching computers, things like Blackberries, right? Electronic devices, looking through houses for things that are in handwriting, written notes, diaries, things like that. Now, I'm not at liberty to tell you what the content was, but is there any reason at all you can think of why Marie-France Como would have specifically referenced you in some of her writings?
Not at all.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Is there anything that she ever said to you that led you to believe that there might be something more than a passing interest with her towards you?
Not at all. No, we spent, one flight together talking. I'd go back occasionally and talk. No, if that's the case, that's very surprising.
Okay. All right. You have any questions for me right now?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to step out and see how things are going. Okay. I mean, it is a Sunday, but there's probably 60, 70 people working on this file. So there's a lot of things happening.
Sure.
So let me go out and see what's happening, and then I'll come back in and we'll hopefully continue. Okay. I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me.
So you just saw Jim Smith lying intentionally. There was no writing or recording or whatever in Marie Como house. It was just a trap to see how Russell is reacting. And the other light is that 60, 70 people are working on Sunday at that on that case. That is not possible. We're talking about a small police station, and you will see later that he will mention that they have a budget without limits. It is their right to lie and put more pressure on the suspects. And as we can see on Russell's face, and that is a very interesting face that he does. He doesn't know what will happen, but he's afraid something bad will come very soon. And he's right, because each time Jim Smith is looking in his folder, as I said, bad things will happen. And if I remember correctly, he just got the boot impressions from the lab, and he can do a comparison in the following moments. So we caught him lying. That is the important thing that I want you to observe. As you can see, Russell has no boots, and that is something else that puts pressure on him. When you are in a room and you have no shoes, and the rest of the people have shoes, that is quite embarrassing. Let's see what will happen next.
We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Okay, the trying to be as discreet as possible. Okay, but the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay, and it's not issues that point away from you; it's issues that point at you. Okay, and I want you to see what I mean. All right. This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is slightly smaller, okay, in scale. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's not to scale. That's the footwear is actually bigger.
Okay.
If you look here on the ruler, you'll see that 1 inch is just slightly smaller than an actual inch. Okay. But this is the way it prints off on the computer.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this over so you can see what I mean. All right. Because essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints. Okay. And essentially, what we're talking about here is, especially when you start adding in other pieces of information that support an investigative position.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a photocopy of the boot that you took off your foot.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago. Okay. Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons. Okay. You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through. There's several different prints to compare. So we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare.
Yep.
These are identical. Okay. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay. You want discretion. We need to have some honesty, okay? Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
Please stop. It is
What I
obvious.
also, oops, sorry.
Yes. No,
What I
please.
also noted is Jim saying basically like, we know, and you have been at that house, and this is your footprint, and these are your tire impressions and all that. So he comes across very certain and serious. So
Of
Russell
course.
has no way out.
Yes, but he can be so sure because he's having evidence on the table. Otherwise, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
And as you see, Russell continues to nod at every accusation made by Jim. An innocent person would be angry, would react very, very angry. I mean, what are you doing? Or are you crazy? And so on. But he's silent. He doesn't know what to do. He will study the footwear impressions for 5 minutes, and Jim will stay silent because it is the right moment to stay silent and let him squirm. So that was the biggest bomb dropped on Russell. Let's see what happens.
This is getting beyond my control. Right? I came in here a few hours ago and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
Please stop. Do you see how close is Jim Smith to Russell now? He took advantage of showing those footwear impressions to get closer to him, but right now their knees are almost touching, and something else. Jim Smith is talking about control. That would be the last thing that Russell can have access to. Jim is trying to pressure him in making a confession. That would be the only possibility to have some last type of control. And he will succeed. I mean, he played his cards brilliantly. It is no wonder that this interrogation is considered something by the book. It is an interrogation that is shown, I think, in every law enforcement police office as an example of interrogation. It is a mix of interrogation techniques and forensic evidence. As I've told you, that folder has a lot of work put in it, and we have to give them credit. Not because I am involved in this type of work, but without evidence, you can't convince anyone. Okay, please go on.
I don't know what to say. It's,
Well, you need to explain it because this is the other problem we're having, Russell. Okay. Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa. Okay? So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized. Okay. You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations. Okay. You and I both know that the unknown offender, male on Marie France-Comeau's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay. This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay. We're applying, the investigators now applying for a warrant to search your office. Right? These aren't decisions that we can say yes or no to. This is the practical steps in an investigation like this. And Russell, listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay? As soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? You're just another, and again, don't take this wrong, okay? But you can see if you step outside this room in your mind and imagine how people are going to view you, okay? If the truth comes out after the clear evidence is presented to you, when you finally go, okay, I'm screwed now, what are we going to do? Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option. I might be wrong. Okay, because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it, got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know. This is over. And it can have a bad ending where Jessica's parents continue to wonder where her daughter's lying. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found. That might even happen tonight, for all I know. Once that happens, then I don't know what other cards you would have to play. What are we going to do? Russell, what are we going to do?
Call me Russ, please.
Okay.
Please stop.
What are we going to do, Russ?
That is his famous phrase, call me Russ. I mean, how many times an interrogator succeeded to befriend a suspect to the point of the suspect asking him to call him by his first name as if they are buddies. He knows that he lost and he doesn't hate Jim. Russell doesn't hate because he was very intelligent, and Russell, although he's a monster, he appreciates that he was beaten by somebody more intelligent than him. And this is the moment when a major crack in his armor was made. From now on, after he will accept to show where he hidden the body of Jessica Lloyd, there will be a succession of questions about details of the murders and so on. My idea is to let him admit that he thrown the body somewhere in a secluded area, and then go to the end where there are questions about why he did what he did.
Yes, Don, can you give me timestamps? Like when we get there?
I will try to do it in the background while the footage is playing. Let's him admit and ask for a map.
Okay.
Is Jessica somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is this something where we have to go and take a walk? Which direction are we heading in here? Russ, maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with? What's the issue you're struggling with?
It's hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that? Why is it hard to believe?
It's just hard to believe.
Whose decision was it? And we're going to find out the answer to this anyway. But whose decision was it to issue the directive to the base personnel that nobody had to speak to the police and to seek legal counsel before they were questioned?
I don't think that was.
My understanding, that direction came from somebody that reports to you. What do you think they're going to say, Russ?
No.
What do you think they're going to say? All right, and let's step back for a second here, okay? I really don't think it benefits you or makes you look any better to start debating the little issues.
No,
okay?
no, but that is news to me.
Okay.
I have a legal officer that reports to me.
Yeah.
Who may have given that direction.
Okay.
But that's the first time I've heard it. If that's true, that's the first time I've heard that.
All right, and that may be the case, but how does it look? Right. We're not even dealing with something that's really even evidence because it's not needed. I mean, when you have DNA and all this other stuff, that's not even.
What
really
was the
an issue.
direction?
I don't recall, but it was something along the lines of telling the people on the base that they weren't required legally to speak with police and they should seek legal counsel before they decide to speak. But
well, if that was actually said, it would not have been to the base at large. It may have been to the individual, the boyfriend who was the suspect.
Okay, my understanding, it went out to all personnel.
No,
maybe no, only under your command. I don't know. Okay, that's fine.
I didn't ever see it.
That's fine. Now let's get back to the issue. What's that?
So you talk about perception. My only two immediate concerns from a perception perspective are what my wife must be going through right now.
Yeah.
And the impact this is going to have on the Canadian forces.
Where do we go? Russ, is there anything you want from me? Is there anything you want me to explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now.
Russ, what are you looking for?
Please stop. You've just heard how Monster is thinking. He's not thinking about his victims, about the parents of the victims. He's just worried about his wife because there is a search warrant in progress and the house might be upset and that she wants to have a clean house, and like there is a small nuisance, but you don't have to be amazed because that kind of people are not like us normal people. They don't think the same. They have strange, ugly, sick urges, and they somehow learned from childhood to not feel like us. He is just predator that climbed in a high position, and luckily he was caught and couldn't do much worse. Okay, right now he's struggling about his wife, but Jim Smith has a duty. He has to convince him to tell where did he throw the body of Jessica Lloyd. And let's see how he does.
I'm concerned that they're tearing apart my wife's brand new house.
So am I. But if nobody tells them what's there and what's not, they don't have any choice. Computers will be brought to Microsoft in California. They'll be picked apart. You can't erase things from computers. It doesn't happen. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure that's pretty common knowledge these days. It just doesn't happen. They sell programs that to try and help people clean their computers of stuff, and our guys are pulling that stuff out all the time. The FBI is pulling that stuff out all the time.
Please stop. Jim is lying again. I mean, I'm not blaming him. He has to do it to put more pressure. He lied about the impossibility of somebody to erase traces of data on their computer. If you know how to do it, you can do it, and nothing can be discovered afterwards. But for common people, it's not that easy. That is all I wanted to say.
This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. And they will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking. So what am I doing, Russ? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth.
Okay.
Okay. So where is she?
Got a map?
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
Please stop. Yes, from now on, everything will go as planned for Jim Smith. He succeeded to make Russell accept saying where the body was hidden. And I will let you watch by yourself this portion. I have to warn you that there are some very vivid details that might upset you, because what he did was horrendous. And knowing that the majority of the subscribers on this channel are women, that could have a strong impact on you.
Okay, so everybody who does not want to listen to details, please leave now.
No. If they, not this portion. We will watch the last portion when he will be asked about why did he do that. But when you will watch by yourselves, just be advised that there are some very strong details.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about torture, sexual acts, and so on.
Okay. So I forwarded it to the, and you just tell me when to keep going.
Yes, let's see how is he answering about what is happening with him and why that happened. Yeah, please play.
Well, sometimes in Marie France's case, in her house. The others in my house.
In Tweed?
Mhm.
So is this a matter you would take the underwear, go back, and then at some point put the underwear on and take pictures? What about Jessica's underwear?
She's only her. Right?
So you don't have pictures of you and her underwear?
No.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess I just have a couple of questions for you. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more questions, but I guess what's on my mind right now, Russ, is what made you decide to tell me this tonight?
Mostly to make my wife's life easier.
Is what you've told me tonight the truth?
Yeah.
How do you feel about what you've done? Like what?
Disappointed.
Let me ask you this: if this didn't come to the point it's at right now, if for whatever reason you didn't end up on our radar, so to speak, do you think it would have happened again?
I was hoping not, but I can't answer the question.
Not too much here, Russ. Just a few details that I wanted to cover off, and specifically dealing with Marie France. In the basement of her house, there's a hole in the drywall. Do you recall how that happened?
Whereabouts?
I don't know specifically, but it's downstairs.
I don't remember that. No.
Okay. Do you remember doing anything with her in the basement where you may have used some clothing or something to secure her?
Yeah, I tied her up against one of the poles in the basement initially. I went outside and put the screen back on and secured the window.
While she was tied to the pole?
Yep.
And what was your thinking behind doing that at that point?
Just to cover up how I'd come in.
Okay. Now, by the time she's tied to that pole, is that in the very initial few minutes kind of thing of the confrontation, or?
That was shortly after I'd subdued her and tied her up, yes.
Okay. Does she have the duct tape on her mouth yet?
I think probably.
Okay.
The pictures will show it.
All right. Now, in the upstairs bathroom by her bedroom, there's looks like something's occurred in there. Remember that?
Yep.
What happened there?
She had passed out on the bed, and I had gone to look out the front window, see if anybody was coming. And she got up and closed the bedroom door and raced into the bathroom trying to get somebody's attention. But her mouth was taped and her hands were tied.
Okay. What did you do as a result of that?
Well, I just got in and subdued her again and got her back into the bedroom. Didn't do anything, just regain control of her.
Okay. If I remember correctly, there's a bit of blood in there. Do you know where that blood how that would have occurred?
All the blood was from the initial hits as I was trying to subdue her.
Okay.
Her skin breaking with the blows to her head.
Okay. Do you recall blood being in the bathroom?
No, actually, I didn't have a light on in there, but it doesn't surprise me.
Okay. There's a pair of underwear and some socks on the floor of that bathroom that belonged to her. Do you remember how they got there?
I don't
remember seeing them?
see them. But
What do you recall doing to her breasts? It's pretty clear that there was something happened to her breasts. Do you remember what that might have been?
no, I certainly touched her breasts. I didn't do anything to hurt them.
I remember that.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Russell.
Now, when I suffocated her, she was on her front, so may have been something there. But
What do you mean?
well, she was lying on the floor in the bedroom as I suffocated her, and obviously struggled. May have been in there that something happened, but I didn't do anything specific to her breasts.
Okay. So when you suffocate her, that's when you had the duct tape over her mouth and nose, and that's on the floor?
Yeah.
And then what happens after that?
Well, she died, and I and took the duct tape off her head and put her on the bed and covered her up with duvet.
And what was your thinking behind doing that?
Really.
As you might expect here, Russ, certainly even now, one of the Ottawa investigators mentioned to me that there's a number of incidents that have gone unsolved over the years.
Can I was going to get into that. Can I go to the washroom quickly?
Yeah, I can get somebody to take you to the washroom. Okay.
Did it stop?
The interrogation stopped.
Oh, so abruptly.
Yeah, that was 2 hours, 39 minutes. The one you sent to me?
Yeah. Maybe he was asked before about why he did, but I could fill in. He said that he has no answer, that, as you heard, he is disappointed. But as a monster as he is, he said when he was asked if he felt something when he did that, he said, I didn't know them. In other words, if he didn't know them, he couldn't feel something. So they are simple objects. I mean, this kind of monsters, they want total control over the body of a woman. In his case, he wanted to make them do whatever he wants, when he wants, as he wants. And for that, in my opinion, 2 lives in prison is not enough. He is one of those sick individuals that will have to burn in hell.
Just like Paul Bernardo,
Yes,
another sick guy.
serial killer. But he's on another level. He's the one that likes to gain notoriety. So anyway, I hope that you like this type of live stream. We are trying to show you something else. First of all, as a comparison between the interrogation of Watts and this one, to have just a reference. And as I've told you, this interrogation is considered the best there is by
Don, would you put your email address or send it to Melina somehow?
I've sent it a few times. Let's see. I think that is on my channel.
Melina, just go check on Don's channel.
Let me check. It should be. Yes. If you click on my name, on my channel, and then click on About, and under Details, About section, yes. And there is a little button saying View Email Address. You click on it, and there is my email.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this was a perfect interrogation with a perfect interrogator. And, comparing this to the Watts case, Tammy Lee was like forcing and, putting pictures in front of him and even pointed to the tanks, and it was just hysterical. If you watch this interrogation of Russell Willams compared to the other one, it's a total mess, right?
By the way,
total mess.
The entire interrogation took 10 hours. And I admire...
You mean Watts?
No. Russell Williams.
Yeah.
I admire Jim Smith also for his courage, because he stood half a meter away from a predator.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Also, when he turned his back on him, and I'm like, oh my God, I would never do that. You know, you don't know how crazy this guy is.
No, but usually sexual predators are kind of cowards when it comes to when they are in touch with the law enforcement.
Right.
Because they are not, I mean, they are submitting women that are weaker than him. That tells a lot about their character, their personality.
Yeah. And if
How-
they would have presented Chris Watts with actual evidence, which they had in Russell's case, I think he would not have lied so much, and they would have gotten a full, detailed confession, and probably he would have, maybe if there were others involved, he would have probably told them about it. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Thank you. You're very welcome. Glad you guys liked it.
I hope I didn't bore you too much because I had to interrupt the footage to explain some things. That is the whole point. But if you want to watch it in its entirety, Tanya will put the link.
Do I have? Hold on, I can actually put the link right now. Just give me 1 second, and I put it on private, but I'm gonna change that real quick.
And my advice is that is to secure your houses. Any kind of security system is better than none. Don't count on weak locks. Don't trust anyone that you don't know. There are many pieces of advice I could give you, but the time is limited for now. Oh, and something else. There is a part of there is a section that law enforcement police officers are learning. It is called victimology. It means that some predators like Russell Willams succeeded in their sick obsessions because some people are victims from the beginning. Like they don't do the best they can do to put a fight in front of an aggressor. You should never submit to anybody. You should take advantage of any possibility to inflict harm to the aggressor, and don't think that you might harm him too much. I mean, you have to, how should I put it? It's a matter of life and death sometimes. I surely hope that you will not be in that situation and you already know what to do to not be like that. But if that happens, everything goes. Don't
Right.
think again.
And never enter a vehicle. Very much true. How many did he kill? 2, Lori? Marie
Russell?
and Jessica.
How many?
Sorry? 2?
2 that
They know of.
they know of, yes. But judging by the frequency of his acts, I think they got it all.
You think there are more victims, more than 2 he killed?
No. No, he had that kind of urges like every 2 months.
Oh, wow. Do we know anything about his wife?
Yes.
What she
We,
doing, or how did she cope, or?
we know her name, her profession. We know about the divorce. I'm not sure that there is information where she's now, but there were some civil suits against her to recover money to pay for the victims.
Yeah.
People were upset that she had a beautiful house paid
By the
by that
military?
monster. No, I mean, people think that she knew everything her husband did.
Okay. What's your
Because
opinion about this? Do you think she knew?
I can only speculate. I mean, for instance, 2 hard drives were found in a piano in the basement of the Ottawa house because, being a sick individual, he had to have trophies in each house, in every house he had. One in Ottawa, one in Tweed, and another one at his office. So, judging by the location of the hard drives and the photos and so on, I don't think he could see those. But the lingerie, it was enough to go to the basement and look into some cardboard boxes.
Huh. Yeah, very sick. The whole case is very sick, and I truly do feel for those families. And I'm glad that Jim roasted him, even though he remained calm throughout, never raised his voice, always gave him like space and time to think and answer and stare at those pictures. Very good, that guy. And I would love NK to be in that chair. I really, truly would love that.
You know, I think that Kobach would have correct her if he was allowed to do it.
Right.
We all saw that he stopped many times from putting more pressure on her.
Yeah. Crazy case.
I'm sure that he didn't like to interview her.
Okay, does anybody have some more questions for Don? Because I would just finish this live stream. And I'm glad that I have Don with his expertise, and we always can ask him things, and he does know a lot about the technical side and forensics, interrogations, that stuff. So I have no clue about interrogations, so that was very, very interesting to me. And thank you, Don, for basically explaining to everyone who was watching how that really works and what the tactics are from interrogators. That was really, really good to know and good to see. And you could really see him basically melting like melting in this chair.
Exactly.
So,
Yes. And I
yeah,
thank you for hosting me.
no problem at all. And we're gonna continue this kind of live streams if you guys like, if you guys liked it. And yeah, if there's anything else you want to know, you guys, do this again. Do what again? This kind of streams? Yeah, definitely. No more gum. Right.
One short note about me. I usually don't interrogate people. It's not my main job, but I have to be sometimes present to support the main interrogator with evidence if there is something more that they want. So I'm very often present at interrogations. That's why I know a lot of things.
Yeah. People are asking if you could do a safety chart of some sort.
It depends on what domain are we talking about. I mean, there is a safety chart for using the computer, another one for our home, and another one for when we travel.
Yeah. And what Don and I had been planning is there's gonna be another membership tier I am setting up. I'm just waiting for confirmation of YouTube. And Don and I will be doing a live stream for members once a week. And we discuss all sorts of things concerning safety. What else do we discuss, Don?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, I try to make a list. Let's watch it again because even I forget. About digital forensics, criminal psychology, manipulation. That would be on your main list.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you see on TV a show about how people manipulate and how to defend yourself against manipulators?
And
Maybe
not only
crime.
in an interrogation room. I mean,
No,
defending yourself against
yes,
manipulators, you can do
on a
that on
daily
a
basis.
daily basis.
Exactly.
Right. I have a question. What do the detectives do when they leave the room? Yes, I do crafttastic.
Well, it depends. If the interrogation takes no more than 2 or 3 hours, they have to write a report while everything is fresh. But sometimes, like in this case with Jim Smith, I'm sure that he has somebody else that took notes all along the interrogation. Yeah, but mainly, it is bureaucracy.
Mm-hmm.
They have to send the data to the prosecution.
Interesting. Yeah, and also what I picked up of you saying those walls and doors, they're soundproof.
Yes.
You don't see that in the what's case interrogation room at all. Like you
No,
can, if you listen closely, you can hear them talking outside in the hall, and that's just
no, it's not in the hall. They were giggling in another interrogation room.
really. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, maybe NK was sitting in a different room, you know. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll find out. We are not giving up on this case. The washroom was a bus station. Yeah, so true. Coming and going all the time. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Obviously, you did. We had a lot of people watching. I'm gonna be live tomorrow around 4-5 p.m. Eastern. I already put up the stream where I'm going to be reading another letter of Chris Watts, and then there will be silence until Sunday because I'm still in preparation for the documentary part 2. After that, I won't be going live next week because it's my birthday week and I'm fully working again. So maybe you will hear from me on Sunday next week, but probably not. Just to let you know, that's also the reason I'm gonna push many live streams so you don't get bored of not hearing from me and unsubscribe and don't want to see me again. No, just joking. So yeah, this week was pretty good on holiday. But yeah, next week I'm doing preparations for my birthday and I have some people coming over and on Friday and Saturday, and I'm also working. So that's why I try to press everything in 1 week. I wanted to do in a span of 3 weeks. So yeah, you guys have a good night. Stay out of trouble, and we are gonna definitely hear more from Don in the future, together with me, if he's not sick of me already.
No, never.
No. I appreciate all of you being here, and thank you so much to my moderators for keeping the chat nice and quiet and clean. And I see you guys tomorrow, hopefully in better shape than I'm today, but I'll do my best and get some sleep. You guys stay safe and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.